15 things you didn't know about the Rothschild family. Welcome to alux.com, the place where future billionaires come to get inspired. Hello Aluxers, and welcome back to another amazing video. Today we're finding out about one of the most famous and wealthy families in the world, the Rothschilds. Originating in Germany and France, the Rothschild family have been a significant banking dynasty since the 1760s. Throughout the 19th century, the family could claim to have the largest private fortune in the world, and they developed their banking empire across Europe. At one point, they were said to control half of the money in the world. The family's Jewish origins have attracted anti-Semitism and many conspiracy theories over the years, mainly because they dominate various industries and financial institutions. Their colossal family tree would take some serious study, but we'll try our best. Because alux.com is dedicated to becoming the world's best resource on the world's most successful and influential business people, we had to take a look at arguably the most famous family in the world. Here are 15 things you didn't know about the Rothschild family. Number 1. The Rothschild family line has relied on a considerable amount of incest. In order to keep the money in the family and to maintain their Jewish tradition, the original Rothschild patriarch made it difficult for his daughters and granddaughters to marry anyone but their cousins. Mayor Amschel Rothschild made it so that his female members of the family couldn't get much of an inheritance if they didn't comply with his pairings. Many ended up marrying their cousins, and even one married her uncle. Number 2. The family are rumored to have financed the Napoleonic Wars. Demonstrating that they can control everything but the weather, the Rothschilds have apparently bankrolled numerous wars and conflicts to try and influence the result. They would loan money to the governments to help them fight the war, and then profit when they were repaid. Relying on the inevitable economic collapse that generally follows a lost war, they even profited from the defeat of countries. Number 3. They have far more money than they're willing to reveal. Supposedly, the Rothschild family have a net worth of $250 billion when their various assets and companies are taken into account. With so many members and so many vast fortunes, though, skeptics believe they could be worth well over $1 trillion. The most prominent members of the family, who are assumed to have significant individual wealth, are regularly absent from Forbes' list of richest people in the world. Number 4. Their creepy secret parties looked like bizarre satanic rituals. One of the most famous Rothschild parties was their Surrealists' Ball in 1972, which had Audrey Hepburn and Salvador Dali in attendance. Many have read into the details of the party, including the backwards invitations, red lights, and bizarre masks and sculptures, as clear evidence that the family are comfortable and regularly practice Satanism. To most people, it looks like how very rich people spend their money. Number 5. They are said to have manipulated the gold market for over 2 centuries. In 2004, the Rothschilds officially pulled out of the gold market, but prior to that, they ran N.M. Rothschild, which was established in 1810. The company would host meetings twice a week and essentially set the world's gold price with the help of other firms, such as HSBC and the Deutsche Bank. The day that N.M. Rothschild announced it would close its doors, the price of gold fell by $7 an ounce. Want to find out what other billionaires get up to? Watch our video about the 10 countries with the highest number of billionaires. Number 6. The Rothschilds' family beginnings were humble, to say the least. Mayor Amschel Rothschild, the founding father of the Rothschild banking dynasty, was born into a Jewish ghetto in Frankfurt in 1744, in a family of 7 other children. His father, Amschel Moses Rothschild, was a money changer and silk trader in the ghetto, owning a small shop with modest profits. When Mayor Amschel began his business, the family home was just 11 feet wide and housed 30 members of the family. Number 7. The Nazis seized many of the Rothschilds' famous artworks, books, and memorabilia. The French branch of the Rothschild family had 5,000 of their artworks taken by the Nazis during their occupation of France, including Rembrandt's, Rubens, and Vermeer. They also took various boxes of precious books, manuscripts, and heirlooms with the intention of dividing them up between Hitler and Göring. Obviously, Hitler got the really valuable pieces. Thankfully for the family, they had most of their belongings returned after the war ended. Number 8. The Rothschilds sold an estate of 35 farmhouses for $24 million in 2015. Most wealthy families have numerous estates, and the Rothschilds are no different. One of their most recent sales, though, wasn't just one home, but 35 on a beautiful estate in Suffolk, southeast England. The Rothschilds have owned the 1,700-acre estate since 1938, including the main home, which is 5,800 square feet. The most recent residents were James Rothschild and socialite Nicky Hilton, who no doubt enjoyed its stables, quaint chapel, and rural country grounds. Number 9. Nathan Rothschild once referred to the King of England as a puppet. The Rothschilds have never been afraid to flaunt their power and influence. Nathan Rothschild was once quoted as saying the man who controls Britain's money supply controls the British Empire, referring to his own family, of course. Nathaniel Meyer Rothschild also claimed that if he's given control of the credit of a nation, it's irrelevant who makes the laws. The family have the real estate to back up their claims, too. When Wilhelm I visited James Rothschild's famous Paris mansion, he commented that kings could not afford this. It could only belong to a Rothschild. Number 10. Some believe that the Rothschilds are responsible for every U.S. recession and depression for the past 2 centuries. Whether it's a conspiracy theory or not, it's easy to see why the Rothschilds might be responsible for every fluctuation in the U.S. and European economies. If they can dictate gold prices and the outcome of a war, as well as controlling the Federal Reserve Bank, then surely they can decide when we have a depression, too. There are plenty of angry WordPress blogs on this topic if you want to delve into the subject further. Number 11. Amschel Rothschild hanged himself after a meeting about a merger. The Rothschilds have experienced their fair share of scandal. When Amschel Rothschild was 41, he killed himself right before he was due to take over a significant position in the family's London banking firm after a merger. Cambridge educated and chairman of the firm, everything may have seemed rosy for Amschel, but he hanged himself at the Hotel Le Bristol Paris in 1996, just hours after the merger meeting. Number 12. Kate Rothschild went from housewife and heiress to manager to a rapper in 2013. In 2014, the Daily Mail showed images of one of the Rothschild heiresses looking like anyone but an heiress. Snapped in a black hoodie and jeans with a cigarette in hand, Kate Rothschild showed that she's gone through quite the transformation. She was married to Ben Goldsmith, but they divorced in 2013, and she started her career in the music industry while in a relationship with rapper Jay Electronica. Many are skeptical of the venture, however, with rumors circulating that her boyfriend and client owes her £365,000. Number 13. David Mayer de Rothschild once sailed a boat made from plastic bottles from California to Sydney. David Mayer de Rothschild has rejected the main family business and has become an environmentalist and adventurer instead. He created a boat entirely out of recycled plastic bottles in 2009 and successfully sailed the construction from San Francisco to Sydney. We guess that's what happens when you have so much money behind you that you never need to get a proper job. Number 14. The family funded Britain's stake in the Suez Canal. Former British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli wanted shares in the Suez Canal, so he reportedly borrowed £4 million from then Baron Rothschild. Disraeli couldn't get the funds from the Queen or the Foreign Office, so he turned to another wealthy source. This formed a very strong friendship between the Rothschilds and Disraeli. Number 15. Nathaniel Rothschild hit the headlines in 2012 for supposedly sharing a sauna with a Russian oligarch and one of Britain's richest men. Nathaniel Rothschild sued the Daily Mail for making the remarks, insisting that his spa trip with Oleg Deripaska, a Canadian gold magnate, and Peter Mandelson was purely recreational. The traditional Russian banya steam bath included being thrashed with birch twigs, jumping into ice water, and an intense 200 degrees Fahrenheit sauna. You would expect a family as powerful as the Rothschilds to be quite high profile, but they're very clearly quite private, keeping their business cards very close to their chests. They've done especially well to remain so instrumental in European and American politics, and even better to become the center of the world's finances, dictating when economies rise and fall. Which Rothschild do you think is the most interesting? The original patriarch, Mayer Amschel Rothschild, who built the Rothschild dynasty up from a Jewish ghetto? Or are you more fascinated by the wayward Rothschilds who turned away from the family business? Oh, you're still here? Well, here's another fact about the famous Rothschild family. Lord Walter Rothschild wasn't just a very wealthy banker, he was also a zoologist. He even had zebras pull his carriage instead of horses because he was so fascinated by animals and wanted to prove he could tame the wild ones. Thank you for spending some time with us, A-Luxer. Make sure to subscribe so you never miss a video. If you want more, we handpicked these videos you might enjoy, or head over to alux.com for the best in fine living content on the planet. Be a part of the largest community of luxury enthusiasts in the world and tell your story.